All right, so at this point, you've watched the introduction videos and you have an idea of how Power BI works when we are looking at a fake and very simple data set. You have an idea of the different working interfaces and concepts in Power BI. Now it's time to look at a real building with the complexity of all of the BIM properties. So we're going to be focusing on Revit for this class. And we also expect that you've gone on our website and signed up to the cloud service. So that way you can try the service using the free trial or, paying for a single project monthly. The other way to do this, of course, is through VIM Enterprise. That's a lot more set up if you don't have an IT department, for example. So just go on the VIM website and start a trial, and you can follow along here. So once you have your building process and you've downloaded or populated the report, you'll see that all of the data is coming in, and there's also a lot of tabs here. We do have a video that goes over every single report and a video that goes through each report individually if you're looking for more help here. But what we're going to look at today is really all of these basic concepts when it's populated with an entire BIM building and what all of these concepts are and how they talk to each other and so forth. So as usual, we have the reports here, so you can go in here and start modifying these. What I'll often do is just duplicate the Explorer report. It's a great report to start with, so it's going to put it at the far right of all of your reports here. And then you don't have to worry about messing it up. You can kind of just keep duplicating it and messing with this. And if something goes wrong, you still have the original report. Now, in the table view, it's very important and very useful to go into the table view, especially to understand what the data is, right? So here, there's one thing that's a bit annoying. The order here is not alphabetical. It's the order of the data as it came in. So a little bit like in Power Query, where things kind of get added to the right side of things. We see here on the right side, however, in the data, we have the same data, but there are folders, and also things are sorted alphabetically. So there's a lot more room for organization in here, even though, like, see here, the active view key and active view name, well, they're not even together in here, but they are together in here, as well as when you select them, it's going to select them in the proper template. Now, one big tip is as you work through Power BI, you're going to start opening a lot of these tables, and it's going to become a giant mess. So just stay clean. When you're done working with the category table, close it up. If you're only working with two tables, only open those two tables. That's going to save you a lot of confusion and a lot of getting lost in all of this data on the right side especially. Now, another thing that's really great with the table view is to see all of the possible answers. So if you do this in Power Query, you'll have a different way of looking at the data in Power Query, but here is just going to be quick because all of the data is preloaded. It's not having to ping the database every single time. As you can see, when you click here, you see all of the answers. So if you're wondering, for example, for material smoothness, is it going to be text? Is it going to be numbers? You can click here and see, okay, well, it only ever says 1 and 0.5. So probably not that useful. That gives you a fair amount of insight into what kind of data you're looking at here. All right, now the data model, the model view is going to be the biggest challenge for you if you're coming in from a simple data model. In here, obviously, there's a lot of stuff. This is going to be the biggest thing that you're going to learn of working with BIM. And let's go into Power Query or transform data real quick. In here, as we start having lots of data instead of 25 rows or something, it's going to take a certain amount of time to load all of this data. First off, it has to load the initial raw table and then do all of these transformations. Of course, you can go through these transformations, but it's possible that sometimes you're going to be waiting during those transformations for the data to load. Right now, for example, we are only looking at the top 1,000 rows for analysis, so we can expand this to all of the data set. And I highly recommend that you go into the View tab and turn on all of these settings so that it gives you this really nice analysis here. And let's go over this Power Query analysis because this is going to be key. What I'm going to do is go maybe in a table that has less options. So perhaps we can go into the category table. And here I'm going to say, don't just look at the top 1000 element, look at every single element. So it's going to start, calculating this. Sometimes it may take a really long time for these graphs to appear. So right away, we're getting a lot of cool information. There are 767 distinct values and only 715 of them are unique. So that tells us there's some values in here that are repeating. There's some keys that are not unique. So that could actually be a problem. The other thing is down here, we start to see the distribution. So these keys, I'm going to guess, are only there. Actually, these are there twice. And these keys are there 8 times. So we see a kind of distribution. And this is going to help us understand the shape of our data really quickly. This is an extremely useful tool to be able to look into. Another very useful thing is the little bar here. So notice how it's only about 5% filled in. That means there's a lot of elements where there's no value for the material. And actually, this brings up a really good point, right? Because here is the place for analysis, and Power Query is fantastic for analysis, but it's not fantastic for chopping the data. Because let's say I go, hey, you know what? I really want to see only the physical items, or let's go and look at the group categories. Well, this is a real change. Now my table looks like this, right? And I don't want that. So I'm going to remove this filter here. I don't want to do a actual modification of this sort. What I could do very easily is go into the table view and do that kind of modification. So in the category table here, I can go in here and say, yeah, okay, only look at the groups. I'm really curious to see what the groups are. And notice how there's a filter here. I can clear all of the filters. I can play with this. In the table view, it doesn't matter. You can chop it. You can say only show me group symbols and systems, then only show me the ones that are annotation, and then only show me the ones that are stair path. And that's fine. This doesn't actually modify your data. So when you're in the table view, go ahead, chop it up. Break it, do anything you want. It's not permanent. It's only a temporary exploration. And you can see here what has filters. And if ever you're kind of getting lost in all the chopping you do, you can always go back and say clear the filters. And that's completely normal. But do not do this when you're in Power Query because it's going to mess up your data for real. So this is the difference of when you're analyzing and when you're chopping and when you're doing a little bit of both. They both have their strength and they both have to be used at the right time. Okay, let's get back into this data model. So when we look at the data model in the model view, this is where there's a lot of new information coming. And I know this is going to be overwhelming for a lot of you. The good news is this is extremely well done. It's the result of many years of thinking and improving. And so we're going to dive deeper into this in the next video. So follow me on to that next video. Talk to you soon. Cheers.